But I cannot keep this from my parents because they are the only people who love me along with Jenny unconditionally.
How I feel tomorrow. Lost my appetite.
Warning: the following contains spoilers for the 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way Season 7 premiere, C'est la vie. Stream it with a max subscription and read at your own risk. 90 Day Fiancé really dropped the ball a while back by not showing us Jenny and Sumit Singh finally reconciling with his parents, who previously disapproved of their relationship for several years. Fortunately, it seems the TLC series will get a chance to do it again, as it appears that the relationship may deteriorate by the time Season 7 of The Other Way is at an end. The veteran 90-day couple moved in with his parents after needing to leave their current home due to being in what Sumit called a financial crisis. While it seemed as though his parents were thrilled to have them in as part of the family, Jenny might have exposed herself as being just as against mending the fence as they were for so long. Jenny was willing to live in Sumit's parents' house rent-free, but not play by their rules. Even before they set foot in the house, Jenny was already griping about the idea of having to live with Sumit's parents. She was quickly reminded by her husband that they had no other option, but also, this is a fairly common practice in India. Extended families live together in a home all of the time, and in fact, his younger brother and wife were already living there as well. She brought up that she doesn't like being told what to do or made to do chores, which I'm guessing was because she's aware that's a common expectation in Indian households. Jenny is far from the first 90-day cast member to come from the US and be shocked about the way things work in other countries, but it's the cultural norm where she is. To go in with the attitude that you won't be helping with the daily housework while the other women participate is rude, especially given their circumstances. After years in India, she still is not acclimated to the cultural norms. My main issue with Jenny, especially at this stage where we find her in 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way, is that she still refuses to embrace much of Indian culture. She doesn't seem to know the language, she's abrasive to the customs, and while she can shop for herself and get by, she seems to rely on Sumit for a lot of their day-to-day stuff. Now, with their backs against the wall, she's basically ensuring she'll have issues with her mother-in-law, which has been the worst part of this storyline for years. I would much rather see Jenny try to put on a brave face and try her best to contribute to the family. The alternative might be Jenny entering the workforce with Sumit, so they can leave the home, but it doesn't appear that option is being considered. In fairness, Jenny is in her mid-60s and closer in age to Sumit's parents than her, which played into why they didn't want the union to happen in the first place. I'm hoping for the best in this storyline and that everyone can coexist in harmony. Unfortunately, 90 Day Fiancé thrives on drama, and I'm guessing if this move was incident-free, it wouldn't be featured on The Other Way. We might be surprised, though. We've seen happy storylines before in this show, though they are few and far between. Mick Jost is a content producer for Cinema Blend with his hand in an eclectic mix of television goodness. Star Trek is his main jam, but he also regularly reports on happenings in the world of Star Trek, WWE, Doctor Who, 90 Day Fiancé, Quantum Leap, and Big Brother. He graduated from the University of Southern Indiana with a degree in journalism and a minor in radio and television. He's great at hosting panels and appearing on podcasts if given the chance as well. The best way to sum up 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After? Season 9 Episode 8 is a mixed bag. Some relationships progressed, others regressed, and one ended before our very eyes. And honestly, that's exactly the level of chaos I expect from this show by mid-season. Let's start with Brandon and Julia, because what even was that? Betty and Ron showing up and expecting a group of exhausted people to match their energy was so on brand. These two have never met a boundary they didn't bulldoze. Instead of giving Julia's parents a chance to, breathe after traveling across the world, Betty and Ron swooped in unannounced like it was their personal sitcom spinoff. The issue, as always, is Brandon. He's never once cut the cord with mommy and daddy, and he clearly thrives on letting Julia fight his battles while he sits in the corner smirking. When he flipped the script and accused Julia of being ungrateful after his parents hijacked the night, I nearly threw something at the screen. Sir, your wife is not the villain here. It's the two people still treating you like a teenage farmhand. 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After? Features too much Betty and Ron. The cherry on top was his leaving the house with his parents after chewing Julia out. Imagine humiliating your partner like that on national TV. At this point, I'm convinced Brandon eggs this on for camera time because there's no other explanation for siding with Betty and Ron every single time. Honestly, if Julia had any sense of peace left in her soul, she'd run. Betty and Ron will always come first. They've perfected this woe is us routine where they sulk the second Julia points out their nonsense, then claim they're just trying to help. It's manipulative, exhausting, and frankly, it's the only storyline they've got. The saving grace here is Julia's parents. Their faces said it all, bewilderment mixed with secondhand embarrassment. At least now Julia isn't totally outnumbered. I can't wait to see more of them, especially if they start side-eyeing Brandon the way we all do. Switching gears, Matt and Jasmine. This situationship is spiraling exactly where we all knew it would. Jasmine keeps insisting that nothing romantic will happen with Matt, but come on. The man is clearly in his feelings, and she's been nesting in his house like it's an Airbnb with unlimited patience. Matt is acting like he's auditioning for most devoted backup boyfriend. He's the emotional support system, the chauffeur, the housemaid, and he's definitely not looking at Jasmine like just a friend. The fact that he's put his entire life on pause while she cries over Gino tells us everything. And Gino.
Phew.
Where do we even begin with? Hat-wearing disaster? The man loves to pit women against each other. Jasmine and Natalie have been his puppets all season, but the strings finally snapped. Natalie pieced out and told him she's done. Did anyone else cheer when she left? Because I did. The best part was the producer asking Natalie if she had any last words. Savage. That's 90 Day Fiancé breaking the fourth wall and basically confirming her time on the show is up. But if Gino thinks he can slither back to Jasmine after Natalie dumped him, I hope he's ready for the bombshell that Jasmine is pregnant with Matt's. The irony is delicious. Gino, who thinks he's this irresistible prize, might have to watch Jasmine build an actual life with someone else. And let's be real, he's not exactly worth fighting over. The hat, the tantrums, the constant gaslighting, no thank you. Could Darcy and Georgie stand the test of time? Over in Bulgaria, Darcy finally met Georgie's parents, and honestly, it was about time. These two have been together forever, so I get why Georgie was nervous. His parents probably know Darcy's reputation, and let's face it, she doesn't exactly come across as low-key. To my surprise, though, the meeting went relatively well. The language barrier was an obstacle, sure, but Georgie's parents seemed open to Darcy after a rocky start. For a second, I almost believed things could be smooth sailing. Then I remembered who we're dealing with. Darcy and Georgie can barely keep it together on a dinner date, let alone a family trip. The tension was bubbling under the surface the entire time. One more glass of wine, and they would have exploded. So while the introductions were polite, I'm not betting on peace lasting long. All in all, this episode delivered the kind of chaotic energy we tune in for. Brandon continues to be the weakest husband on the planet. Julia deserves sainthood. Jasmine's juggling men like it's a sport. Gino's delusional enough to think he's the prize. Natalie dropped the mic and left, and Darcy's trying and maybe failing to play the part of future daughter-in-law. Season 9 is heating up, and the reunion promises to be messy. The only thing I know for sure? Someone's going to walk off set. Probably multiple people. So, what's your take? Was Brandon wrong for leaving with his parents? Will Julia finally snap? Do you think Jasmine will actually move on with Matt, or will she keep Gino hanging around for drama's sake? And is anyone else secretly rooting for Darcy to shock us all and actually make this relationship work? Hit the comments. I need to know where you stand on this circus. This once popular 90 Day Fiancé spinoff has gone from must-watch TV to a franchise killer, and honestly, I think it's time we pulled the plug. 90 Day Fiancé Season 1 debuted in 2014, following cup racing the K1 visa clock. Its popularity led to spin-offs like Before the 90 Days, Happily Ever After, The Other Way, and more, thus. Getting married and more time on how they'll be as new parents. The clip, we meet Greta and Matthew, England, a couple who met via a vegan dating app. Greta was studying at Oxford for the summer, and 2 weeks before she left, she asked Matthew on a date. He admitted, "I was like, wow, she's bold." I was very nervous about meeting her for the first time, so I made index cards of questions. Definitely over-prepared with the index cards. Greta felt an instant spark with Matthew, saying, "He was listening to everything I was saying and was very open-minded, and we have very similar outlooks on life." Greta knew he was the one after they argued about economics during a hotel stay. The latest season of 90 Day Fiancé is highlighting a throuple's journey, but I think the storyline is rapidly turning into a disaster. Since they first appeared in the 90 Day Fiancé franchise, I've been suspicious and concerned about their storyline. Matt and Imani Jalasi have been married for 10 years and have 2 children together. They met Eni Aguirre on a vacation in Mexico, and for the last year, the 3 of them have been exploring their intimate connections as a throuple. The main issues of 90 Day Fiancé Season 11 Episode 6 seem to revolve around communication, clarity, and boundaries. Eni revealed to Imani that she was intimate with Matt after Imani excused herself the previous night. Imani, visibly upset, was more agitated with Matt for not communicating. Meanwhile, Matt thought he was in the right and was even more blown away to realize both women thought he should have been more honest and upfront about his actions. However, the concern I have regarding the situation is the clear lack of boundaries. Matt even said it himself. This situation wasn't discussed in the past, so he had no idea how to navigate it. In his opinion, he didn't do anything wrong and was engaging in the same way he always would have been. However, for Imani and Eni too, clear communication seemed to be far more important. Overall, the lack of boundaries here hints at more than one problem. Obviously, they don't communicate well because there were discussions and agreements they should have made before entering a throuple. On top of that, though, they struggled to create sustainable boundaries and uphold them. I'm sure if the 3 of them communicated more openly, the women would like to feel more comfortable with the situation. However, the biggest red flag revealed from this situation was the state of the couple's relationship before introducing Eni. In Matt and Imani's confessional, she admitted she was jealous, which is understandable to an extent. However, she also admitted that there were other issues in their marriage and even went as far as to say that adding a third person to an already stressed relationship can heighten their problems. Hearing the couple talk about their struggles makes me wonder, was Eni simply a band-aid? I'm starting to think maybe Eni was meant to be the woman who brings the married couple closer together and not someone who adds to their already blossoming connection. Or maybe they're using Eni as some sort of hall pass to determine if they're on the right path. In truth, the situation seems really murky. I think it's possible for the couple to find their middle ground, but they need to work on overcoming their insecurities before considering marriage. Overall, I'm starting to see the positive aspects of their 90-day fiancé relationship. Eni and Imani seem to care strongly for one another and look out for each other. In the ways that Matt fell short, Eni was there to offer more support for Imani. I also think all 3 of them have a genuine connection, and I think the same could be said for the energy shared between the 3 of them. While the throuple situation is unconventional, and I have my suspicions, I think their relationship can work, but they've got to slow down and evaluate their situation. I thought 90 Day Fiancés they're all in it for the right reason, with Stevie Savage's sexuality was a little alarming. 90 Day but after watching their most recent experience together, the mothers-in-law of the 90 Day Fiancé franchise are often known for stirring up drama. 90 Day Fiancé franchise star Madi was taken aback by some of Stevie's nude paintings when he first arrived in America. The paintings seemed to open the door to some insecurities on Madi's behalf, more specifically regarding Stevie's sexuality, and if she might later in life realize she wanted something else. Discovering she also painted a close friend nude certainly didn't help ease his worries either, and the situation between the 2 escalated. The overload of information had caused him to continuously push Stevie to tell him the truth about her sexuality, which she refused. While I originally sided with Stevie and agreed she shouldn't have to share information she's not comfortable revealing yet, I also think there might be a weird game of cat and mouse going on. There's something about the interactions between Madi and Stevie that makes me start to wonder who truly has the brighter red flag. The majority of Stevie and Madi's experience has revolved around her sexuality. The season is already about halfway done, and I've barely heard them speak about their wedding or their plans for after marriage. Instead, Maddie's been laser-focused on Stevie's nude painting and whether her obsession with women's breasts goes beyond the artistic appreciation for the human body. While I originally thought his pushing for answers was a clear sign of disrespect, I'm starting to think part of Stevie enjoys the back and forth, simply because she won't give him a straight answer. Although I understand her point of view and don't think it's necessary for her to answer the question, at the same time, I also think that if answering the question can ease issues before their wedding, then they should do it. Yet, Stevie seems to be trying to mask a smirk in the occasional scene. She also has a nonchalant, "does that make you feel better?" attitude when she does answer him, which makes it seem like she's not telling the truth, or is sort of egging him on because she knows her unclear answer will linger in his mind. Aside from the weird but constant back and forth between the two 90-Day Fiancé stars, there's also the matter of their joint bachelor and bachelorette parties. Together they went to a burlesque party in New Orleans, which Stevie was aware of, and her friend Claire, who she painted nude, was also there. My concern here is how inappropriate a burlesque-themed night was, especially considering Maddie's clear discomfort with sexuality and women dressed revealingly. Stevie even mentioned in her confessional that the event choice might not be the best setting. After what Maddie discovered the fact that they're going to a burlesque show, Stevie was aware of it, and she also had a feeling the party wouldn't go over well. Makes me feel like she's clearly disregarding Maddie's discomfort, and I'm starting to wonder if either of them truly has the other's best interests at heart. I understand Stevie's desire to welcome Maddie into her life, culture, and experiences, but I think she and her friends severely lacked sensitivity. Even if Stevie's sexuality wasn't their main concern all season long, I still think that her friends could have been more support, as Maddie is still a Muslim man who's adjusting to a drastically new environment. Overall, this episode did result in one major revelation that blew me away. Maddie apologized for his close-minded behavior. After finding out that Stevie painted Claire nude, Maddie's desire for the truth became even more intense. However, later that episode and after the burlesque show, he sat down with her friends and gave a heartfelt apology for his reaction to their painting day. This apology not only showed a lot of growth, but it also highlighted his ability to keep his promise to his soon-to-be father-in-law about not forcing his cultural beliefs on Stevie. So, while I do think the couple have some immature qualities, they still seem to be the most solid pair from 90-Day Fiancé Season 11. While I'm enjoying the latest 90-Day Fiancé franchise spinoff, I'm starting to notice how the series is falling a little short, most specifically when it comes to star Tim Malcolm. 90-Day Hunt for Love is only a few episodes into the new season, and I feel like the show is picking at Tim, which is causing him to face more issues than the other stars. The main purpose of the newest spinoff was to give the stars a different kind of opportunity to find love than they have had in the past franchise shows. While stars on the other 90-Day Fiancé spinoffs have to find love on their own, Hunt for Love gives the returning members a group of singles to interact with. Initially, I thought that was a great idea, and exactly what the franchise needed to add a little spice to the mix. However, the more Tim appears on the spinoff, the more I feel like he's constantly being single-handedly picked on, and here's WHY in general. I think Tim is one of the biggest love-to-hate stars of the series, which I don't totally understand, honestly. He first appeared in the franchise when he started dating Jennifer Terrazona in 90-Day Fiancé, before the 90 Days Season 3. Admittedly, I don't think he gave the best initial impressions when he prioritized his gun business over making a connection with Jennifer. However, he since appeared with his other ex, Veronica Rodriguez, which I believe has showcased a much softer side to him. Hunt for Love has also featured more of his connection with Chantel Everett, which I think also highlights how gentle and caring he can be. Yet, Tim often has to defend himself in large groups of people or at reunions. He also finds himself defending his sexuality and role as a stepfather often, which causes issues for him within the franchise. As a result, I feel like Tim already had the odds stacked against him. To make the situation worse, he's the only person to be on the show with an ex. Of course, it's Jennifer, the only ex he's not on good terms with, further complicating his goal of finding love in the new spinoff. Compared to the other stars, I simply think Tim has it the worst. The rest of the cast doesn't seem to have as many hurdles against them, which kind of makes me wonder if the franchise has done this on purpose to paint him to be even more of a villain than he already was. For example, Colt Johnson is another franchise villain. He is often viewed in a positive light, but his most recent appearance on the 90 Day, The Single Life Season 3 tell-all left a sour impression on fans, myself included. While I'm suspicious of Colt's intentions, he seems to have an easier time on the series. His goofiness and awkwardness are even explained away by cast members, and women seem willing to give him second and third chances despite him fumbling initial interactions. On the other hand, Jennifer has already claimed she has information about Tim. She wants to share with the rest of the group and seems like she's up to no good. While the other stars are navigating their love interests and are given more freedom to make mistakes, Tim has to be wary of Jennifer trying to sabotage his connections. Overall, I can't help but feel that the rest of the 90 Day Fiancé stars have a much cleaner opportunity to find love. Meanwhile, it seems like Tim needs to confront his past first before he can find love. I also can't help but feel like this seems to be his recurring storyline in the franchise. He attempts to connect with women, but either his sexuality, his desire to move slowly, or his ex, usually Veronica, stands in the way of the relationship progressing. In a series where the stars are supposed to have unique and better opportunities at finding love, I think Tim is being let down tremendously, and I'm not sure he'll be successful at finding love this time around.